Hello, my name is Joseph Pinner. I'm from a company called FloorSandUK.com. We're based in Manchester and in Alderley Edge and in Middlewich. Me and my wife, we run this floor sanding company. We've got several guys working for us as separate teams. And we've been asked by Debbie from Mint Cleaning to come down and have a look at some of your sites. So we've been down there and we've taken some photographs, which I'm going to go through with you in a moment. And the reason why I thought I'd just put this little video together is because there seems to be, as there are in sort of bigger companies, there seems to be a lot of different sort of influences or opinions coming from various different areas of the company. So what I thought we'd do, rather than set up sort of several meetings, which I'm happy to do if need be, but what I thought I'd do just to kick off really is to give you an indication as to what my opinion is on your floors. And so the best way to do it, I think, is to start off going through some photographs of your sites where I can specifically explain what I believe has gone wrong prior to now, what we need to do to get over that problem, and thirdly, how we can avoid getting back to the same situation 12 months from now, which, if nothing is done, will definitely happen. So I've got quite a bit to go through, so I'm going to try and sort of skip through these as quickly as I reasonably can. But again, obviously, if you want to set something up where you want me to come down and talk to the directors or whatever, then I'm more than happy to do so. I've been in the business sort of getting on for 20 years now, so and we are accustomed to doing large commercial areas. We do domestic work as well, but our sort of real main area is large wooden floor areas that have high levels of traffic, that need to be refurbished, and from then onwards need to be maintained and need to be kept and even built up and improved as time goes on. If you need any more information other than what I'm about to tell you now, then by all means you can, I'll give you my details, my email and mobile number at the end of this, and you can by all means contact me direct. And like I say, if you do want to arrange a meetup, then I'm more than happy to sort of meet you at one of the sites or wherever and discuss it in more detail. So I was asked by Debbie from Mint to come down and have a look at the sites. Debbie is familiar with our company as we are hers, and we know exactly what our sort of respective roles are. And I think one of the main points that Debbie was saying in relation to the floors, particularly it seems at Revolution, is that there does seem to be some sort of crossover on what her abilities or what her capabilities are going to be insofar as cleaning the floors, and how far is she going to be able to take the floors back to their former glory using commercial cleaning methods. My main opinion on main point throughout all of the Revolution sites is some more than others, but on the whole they're way past cleaning. You can put a commercial cleaning buffer on there with a commercial cleaning product on there, but they're way past that point. You may marginally improve things, again, some perhaps a little bit more than others, but you're not going to get any, or what we consider to be, an acceptable level of acceptable level of finish just by cleaning. Again, I'll go through the site photographs in a moment, but fundamentally what you have to do is put something in place to get the floors back to their former glory, to get them back to how they did look and should look, and from that point onwards to implement some kind of um, uh, uh, deep cleaning regime and a maintenance arrangement. And we can, I mean, the deep cleaning and the maintenance arrangement is something that we do. I mean, we strip floors back to their original wood, we re-lacquer, we put suitable products down, we get the floors looking amazing. That's what our job is. But thereafter, if you need, we can help you with the ongoing deep clean of the floors, as well as a periodic maintenance. The difference basically with those is you'll have your day-to-day cleaning with Debbie, and she seems to be doing a fine job of it, but that is really just to sort of remove surface grime, day-to-day surface grime. It isn't going to remove anything that's deeply ingrained or embedded into the lacquer. Nothing that she is going to put down on that floor is going to remove that, because it's just not aggressive enough, and in certain conditions you've got to be very careful because it could be too aggressive and actually damage the floor. I'll go into that later on. So okay, going back to the maintenance, the deep clean side of things is where we come about, and that might be once every sort of 3 months or so, once every month or whatever, and we come by, we have a machine that basically we put a deep cleaning solution in, it buffs the floor, it sort of scrubs the floor, it dries the floor, and then it airs the floor. So it basically goes in looking dirty, comes out looking clean. That's a deep clean, and it's just a deeper version clean with a product that is specifically meant for the lacquers that we had previously put down. This product wouldn't necessarily work with your floors as they stand at the moment, because we don't know what lacquer's down there. We don't know if our cleaning product is going to be compatible with the lacquer that's been put down. You've got to be careful because they can if you put too much of this cleaning solution on a lacquer, it can burn the floor, and if you put too little on the floor, it doesn't clean it. So you need to really sort of start from scratch, get the floors how they should be, and from that point discipline some kind of regime to ensure that the floors are looking as they should. I mean, I understand that Revolution bars are quite a sort of relaxed sort of atmosphere. I know the floors don't necessarily need to look tip-top condition, but the fact of the matter is the actual places themselves are being let down at the moment, because the floors should sort of give a real sort of wow factor to the place, and at the moment it's just a dull, drab, flat mess on the floor. That gets lost on a Saturday, Friday night with people, I'm sure. But so far as your daily afternoon lunches are concerned, I'd say they're more importantly than ever. The condition of the floors should set the place off, should be inviting, should want to pull people through them doors. So we're going to see what we can do to try and create that situation. So okay, let's just start going through some photos. We started off in Hanley, Revolution Bar in Hanley. This is the floor upstairs, which I believe had just been cleaned, and in actual fact doesn't look too bad insofar as the general finish goes. But when you start looking, it doesn't look too bad there, where you've got the glare of the light coming through. because you're not actually seeing any of the wood floor. But what seems to have happened is that over a period of time, you've no doubt been using the sort of horrible pink stuff that everybody seemed to have used in the past, and it builds up this sort of black film on the floor, and even though it makes it shiny, it actually covers the wood. And over time, when you're using it every day, you start losing all the character in the wood, which you've done here. You just lost everything. It just looks like a dark brown or a black painted floor, which just sort of really defeats the point in having a wood floor at all. You can see here, I mean, you can see some of the grain, but a lot of the character of the floor's been lost, and it just the place down really, which is a shame. So obviously you've got a lot of heel marks in here. Let me shift that across there. You've got a lot of heel marks, which we'd want to take out, we'd want to remove. So we would look to remove that, and we would need to implement some degree of repair work in certain areas where it's gone through, where it looks like the wear has been overdone a little bit. You can see here down the side of the barn where the black has built up, and that's because of the fluid. That's because it hasn't been sort of it's settled more there than it has here. But you can see what it's done to the floor. So we want to get rid of that. We want to get back to the natural wood. We want to be able to see the grain, and we want to be able to get it back. That photograph isn't great. It's a little bit lighter down here than it is down there, but you can see all the way around the edges here. And that sometimes goes up the side of the skirting boards in some areas. You can see where obviously the black has been built up. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip this, we want to strip the floors back, right back to the original wood. We then want to go through a repair process where necessary, where we need to fill, lacquer down. We then want to go through a series of smoothing procedures, and then we're going to apply a commercial 2-pack lacquer on there. We've just done Manchester Museum, we've just done a good section of Manchester University. We do work a lot with the councils and the schools and other bars, and we do a lot of high traffic commercial areas, but whatever has been put down here has not done the job. It hasn't been able to take the amount of traffic that's going over this floor. You can see it. It's worn through. It's worn through to the wood, and it doesn't matter how much cleaning or how good the cleaning is or whatever products you put down. When you're down to wood, there's nothing protecting your floor. The next thing that's going to happen there is it's going to start to damage the wood, and when it starts to damage wood, it starts to create holes, and when it starts to create holes, it starts to become a safety issue and hygiene issue and everything else that goes with it. And all these problems will accumulate and will compound into a bigger problem. It's completely unnecessary. With the correct procedure in place, you can avoid a lot of expense and a lot of time and hassle. And so by carrying out what we're going to suggest to you, hopefully we can overcome that. But you've got to get a decent product on these floors, and you've got to have enough on there to be able to give the floor the sort of degree of protection, the level of protection that it needs. I wouldn't want to, if you're going to go ahead and go to Benson this time and everything else, you don't want to be. I know we've with Debbie and one of your managers, we were discussing timescales, and there's a bit of pressure on there because obviously you're losing revenue whilst the place is closed. But you just need to let it happen. You need to let it happen, because if you rush in the level in the amount of varnish that you put down, or if you rush in the curing period that's required and whatnot, it's just a whole load. It's just a waste of time, and you're going to be in the same situation 12 months down the line. So you need to get it right at the beginning, and from that point onwards, it's just a maintenance issue. And once you put that in place and you stick to it, there's a problem you can forget about. The floors will start to look better in time, not in worse, not worse. They will start to improve, because effectively what we were going to be suggesting to you is to put a buff and coat scenario down. Buff and coat is the maintenance side of things that we do. Deep clean is the deep clean, when we come in with a machine and the cleaning product that's compatible with the lacquer. And the maintenance side of it is a buff and coat. It's where we come. We may do a deep clean immediately before it, and we buff to denib the floor to create a texture for the coat that's about to happen to adhere to, and we give it another coat. But you have to do that. You don't wait till you're back down to the wood before doing that. You have to sort of put something in that's that builds on top of the existing wood to sustain that protection. Okay, so you can see here, I mean, it's just, I don't really need to say a lot. It's gone straight through to the wood. It's the same scenario. You've got the black areas because of the cleaning product that you're using. By the way, as well, so far as any cleaning products that you use, we sell products as well. I can either sell you them ourselves, and you can go and find out your best deal and do whatever you want to do. But we'll give you advice as to what cleaning products are best for the particular lacquer that's been put down. We will recommend what sort of lacquers we think that you're gonna need, but you need something that's going to be suitable for high traffic, as well as the spillages. You've got all the alcohol that's going to be spilt on the floor, as well as the footfall and everything else. So you've got a chemical situation going on there, so you need something that's going to help. Standing water for any sort of length of time, and alcohol, especially things like red wine and very, very high alcohol content drinks, as well as obviously the traffic. So I'm going to just flick through again. Again, this is another area. It's the back area near the entrance at Hanley. It's the same scenario. I'm just looking at this here as well, and you've got, I mean, the tables are a mess. So we are a flooring company. All we do is sand wooden floors. We don't fit floors. We do fit floors, but really our main point is floor sanding. We'll only fit floors for existing companies, existing customers who want us to do something. So as a matter of convenience, we'll fit small areas for you. But another thing that you've got here are your bar tops and your tabletops there, which obviously are way past the mark again. So again, if you're going to replace them, replace them. There was discussions about you having certain refurbs at certain places, so if you're going to replace them, it's not so much of an issue. That said, you have already got the raw, you have got the product there. It's just not been looked after. So if you did want us to refurb tabletops, we can. And we need to sort of price that up separately for you, obviously. But we can buff and coat this and remove all them surface scratches there, and put a decent, again, 2-pack lacquer over the top of it. That's going to be able to sort of withstand the spillages and the knots and scratches, etc. So, okay, we're still at Hanley. I flicked through the photographs, and we're going to be changing through the various different bars, but I'll tell you my opinion on the particular bars, and at the same time I'll try and give you a bit of information in relation to the service that we do. So these are the steps going down at Hanley, again all the way around the edges, usual sort of thing. You can see where the clean is. It's been built up around the edges. Obviously, the problem's compounded by the fact that dust gets blown towards the edges, etc. So again, that's why the edges always look a little bit worse than the central areas. The stairs here are big impact in the same area. You can see everybody walks through that door. Everybody steps on these sections here, and these sections here are the most worn. Obviously the entire step needs to be sanded back and refurbed, and again another new product on. The treads here, they can be replaced or not replaced, you just need to let us know. Or you can have stair nosings, which basically are L-shaped and they go over the edge. But either you can replace them or we can replace them. We do not include this in any prices that we put forward. It's only for the sanding. So if you proceed with us on any quote that you've had, that will only be for the sanding of these stairs. We would leave these in situ unless you specifically tell us that you know, you want us to replace them and quote for. So that sort of takes us all the way through the Hanley job. We then moved over to Macklin, which clearly gets a lot of traffic over it. This is the back room area, sort of playroom area. Or at least it looks like it's being used for that temporarily, although I don't know if it should be a VIP bar or something like that. It looks like it could be, but in any case, the floor is a parquet floor here, herringbone parquet. We're one of the very few companies that specialise specifically in herringbone parquet floors. What you have is you have grain direction going in two different directions. You've got grain going in two different, then it's going across there. So by using a conventional floor sander, a conventional drum sander on there, you go this way, you're going to be crossing the grain. You go that way, you're going to be crossing the grain. You go that way, you're going to be crossing some grain. You go this way, you're going to be, whichever direction you're going to go in, you're going to be crossing the grain. Whilst that isn't necessarily a big problem, because when you lacquer it, when you go through the series of papers and you get it very, very smooth, the scratch is that fine, it's hardly noticeable. So then you put the lacquer over the top of it, and then the floor looks amazing. The fact of the matter is, those scratches are still there. If you look at the cross section of a piece of wood, the scratches are still there, and the dirt gets trapped in them scratches. So the biggest problem with herringbone isn't necessarily the fact that you know, you've got to cross the grain. It isn't by the fact that you can't get the floor looking good when you've completed. You can. The biggest problem with it is maintenance. It's keeping it looking clean and tidy for any period, you know, reasonable period of time thereafter, because of the scratches. Now, as a floor sander, we'll get the floor looking right. We'll come away, you'll pay us, and then it won't be sort of until 6 months down the line that you start to see the floor deteriorate. So what we do is we've developed a system, a process, and we've bought specific machinery to do this, where we go through the conventional floor sanding procedure that everybody does, a similar sort of procedure that everybody does. We put in place the scratches, but we also have part of a system to remove those cross scratches. We have a machine that moves in 3 different directions, 4 different directions, in fact, in total. It has 3 different rotational directions, and then a 4th one over the entire area. And it's specifically to remove these scratches. If you were to look at a herringbone parquet floor without this process, and you were to look at a typical herringbone parquet floor with this process, as soon as they had both been done, you would see very little difference. It's hardly noticeable. We tested it a lot, and it's hardly noticeable. I mean, it's a bit smoother, but to look at it, it looks pretty much the same. Where it comes into play, where the advantages come into play, is the ongoing side of it. Keeping it clean is a lot more easier. It's a lot more stressful. You know, the amount of work and effort, but more importantly, it just doesn't gather the same amount of dust than what it would if it didn't have this buffing method that we integrate with our sanding procedure. But leave that to us. I'm just letting you know that this is what we do on a herringbone parquet floor, and this is where we sort of stand out from the rest, if you like, because we've developed this ourselves. It's a problem that we knew about years ago and have come up with a solution to it. I think, so far as your side is concerned, it's critical that these places, in as good as possible condition over as long a period as possible. So we've got the back room there at Macclesfield, not in too bad a state, although it would look 10 times better, but it's probably a room that isn't used that much. Got the main dining area. It's not a great photograph, but if nothing else, it sort of tells you the area I'm talking about. See if there's any more. Well, this is the main passageway when you come into Macclesfield. The entrance is down here. You walk through the doors, you walk here, and this comes to the back of the bar on the bar on the right hand side as you're walking up, and you walk up to the toilets at the back. This area here is obviously one of the biggest. It's one of the heavily used areas. It is damaged. It has got a lot of heel marks. The area near the bar is. I mean, you can't see the wood. It's hard to actually make out whether it's wood. It could be old black lino for all anybody knew. I mean, it's a real shame, but unfortunately, it's not anything that can't be overcome. At the far end there, when you walk in through these doors here, if you turn right at these two steps here, that takes you to this bit. And there's the windows. There's the windows at the front of the restaurants. So again, this is a herringbone parquet. Just bear with me 1 second, because somebody's just come to the door. Can you get the door for me? This is a herringbone parquet. Just bear with me 1 second. Somebody's coming down to sign for that now, mate. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just arriving. Yeah, this is a herringbone parquet. It's expanded and contracted as wood. You get natural settlement on the floor. It's expanded and contracted. It's left some gaps here, as you can see there, and see there. It's all over. So what we do here, we sand the floor back to the original wood, and we separate the dust from the final sand, the finest sand. It's like baby powder. That's how fine it is, and we mix this with a resin. And it's a resin that's specifically for the job. It's not a filler, it's not an adhesive, it's not PVA. A product, it's a resin specifically for the job of filling floors. It expands and contracts with the wood to a degree, and it does nothing else but fill the gaps in wooden floors such as this. We mix it with the dust from the floor to give as near a colour as possible, although on this particular floor the wood is very, very different from one piece to the next. Most floors you don't have that degree of difference, so the purpose of putting it with that dust is to get as near to the original colour as possible. With this, again, it's very, very it really doesn't matter so much on this, but obviously you do need to sort of fill these gaps, and what that avoids is sort of cleaning solutions and liquids and water going within these gaps, making it expand even more because the water seeped in through the edges that don't have any protection on, and create even a bigger problem. So that sort of seals those areas and creates a complete sealed barrier from the chance of any sort of water penetrating through the sides of the wood. When this wood is fitted, even if it's pre-finished, it's still, so anything at the sides, if anything ever gets onto the sides, it seeps straight into the wood. starts to expand the wood and starts to buckle and starts to all sorts of things start to come about. So we need to look after that bit, keep an eye out for that bit. One thing with the maintenance, if you put a maintenance contract in place with us, depending on what level you go with, but if you put a maintenance contract in place, we will overlook this side of things as well. So if we come to do a deep clean, or we come to do a deep buff and coat, maintenance buff and coat, and we see this, or we see one that's expanded because of ground settlement, or whatever the reason is, and we'll fill all these for you on an ongoing basis. Now, it shouldn't happen that much once it's been filled in, but if you do get any other difference, it's all included, so it's pretty good. Okay, so that's the front of Macclesfield. Again, at the bar in Macclesfield, this is at the end of the bar on the right-hand side, right at the end of the bar. You know, there must be trays put here or something, but obviously this part of the bar gets some stick more than the rest of the bar. But again, same sort of thing as we mentioned before, insofar as the tabletops and bar tops are concerned, we can strip this right back to the original wood. If the products haven't sunk into the wood and penetrated, then it'll come out. But if it has, then it won't come out. It's a new piece of wood, basically. Several pieces of wood, a new bar. But I'm pretty sure, more often than not, we remove everything. And we can apply that through stripping, spraying, brushing. We have various different methods. But again, we put a 2-pack lacquer on there to stop this sort of thing happening. Okay, moving on. This is now Newcastle. Before that, there was, if it's left to get through to the wood, then eventually the wood starts to get damaged and it starts to create a hole, and then it starts to break through, and it starts to become a hygiene problem and health and safety problem. Now, this is all over. I mean, not all over in Newcastle, but there's a few pretty bad areas. This is what, 7 or 8 inches in length, sort of thing, and it's gone straight through the wood. We can put a 2-pack product in there to fix that, or we can lift it and replace it, but I just don't know whether or not. I need to see the details of the floor a little bit more. There are products out there that we could put in there which would probably stand up to any traffic, but again, if we did that, we just need to keep an eye on that particular area and just see if there was any sort of breakages on it on an ongoing basis later on. You see the heel marks here. Heel marks are a nightmare. We get the majority of heel marks out. They have to be very, very deep heel marks to not to be able to be got out. But the other thing that you need to understand here, especially with heel marks, is that we will sand up to a certain degree. We've got to be careful that we don't solve one problem and create another one. And by that I mean we can sort of carry on sanding over particular areas to remove heel marks out. But what we don't want to do is create a dip in the wood in doing that. And like I say, you remove one problem and create the other. So we do, me and a couple of guys, we do French polishing as well. So we're not French polishers, we're floor refurbishment. That's what we do. We do floor refurbishment. But over the years, we've come to find that we've had to do certain French polishing techniques, and we use these techniques in the refurb of the floor. There are gouges or scratches. We may sand it down, but to avoid sanding down too much, we do a similar process that we did before with the resin filler. We mix the resin filler with the sawdust, we put it into the gap, we sand it flat. We basically, when we're filling the floor, we basically sand it back, we mix the resin, and we literally plaster the floor. the trowel. We plaster the whole floor. So we are so we plaster the whole floor, the resin's left to go off, and then we sand that off, and what it leaves behind fills the gaps. Now, if there's particular areas that have been traffic, and you get gouges, or you get scratches, or you get heel marks, what we can do is we can go through a similar process and fill these areas in. And we wouldn't do this over a huge area because we'd have to price separately for that. But if there's the odd small area that needs a little bit of extra attention, what we can actually do is paint in. If the colour of the filler isn't exactly right, we can paint in some of this with special sort of stains, French polishing solutions that we've got. And we can actually draw in the grain as well. It's amazing. Looks amazing. Very, very hard to even see it at all at the end of it. And then over the top of that goes the lacquer. So any sort of little bit of retouching work that we have to do, we're happy to do that, but we've got to sort of make sure that we lacquer over the top of that to protect any sort of special work that we do in that area. Again, if there's an isolated area here and there that needs that doing, we'll do it, and we just incorporate it into the price. That's not a problem at all. But if there are any major areas or large areas that need that sort of level of treatment, because it is time consuming, then we'll price for it accordingly. Anything that we do, we won't just go ahead with it. If we feel that something's going to require a little bit more work and a little bit more time, and therefore is going to need more cost, then we'll go ahead with it. So again, we're still at Newcastle. That's the main area of the floor. It's in pretty bad way. It's in pretty bad shape. It's just worn all over. Again, it's no surprise that that happens. All these areas here are on the way to that same sort of situation. So we need to stop that from happening if we can. Okay, moving down. Again, that's another area near the doorway there. It's not quite gone there, but you can see it's on its way. So we need to catch that before it happens. Okay, this is upstairs at Newcastle. This is a pre-finished floor. This has been laid, this isn't original flooring, this has been laid afterwards, and this is a pre-finished area. Again, it's not quite as bad as downstairs, but it's been hammered and it's well on its way. It's hard to see it, but it has got deep heel marks all over it. So we would do the same sort of thing. We'd strip this right back. Can you see where the light changes in between? The light changes in between the pieces of wood. That shouldn't happen. But where you can see the edges shows that the wood has cupped. It's changed. It's expanded and contracted and expanded, and it's cupped slightly. It's nothing bad. It can be flattened. I mean, sanding will remove that. But it's just interesting to see it. Okay, yeah. So here's some of the more. I've done another shot here of the heel mark, so you can see where it's gone. We'll get rid of all that. We'll remove all of that. Okay. Again, chairs are one of the biggest problems. I'm sure I lifted some of these chairs, and I think, if I remember rightly, we had protectors on, but they were the old plastic protectors that are great for protecting the chair legs, but not great for wooden floors. Let's just see if I took any photographs now. Maybe not. Here you got the stairs again, coming downstairs, back down to the ground floor. Same usual thing. You've got your treads, safety treads there. We can sand round them, or we can basically sand them off and replace them. So we just need a bit of guidance from you on that. Again, if you don't specifically ask us, we will just sand round them. And if they're still okay for the job, then that's perfectly fine. I think we've included 4 steps as a separate process. Ah, this is what I was talking about. The chairs have got these plastic protectors on. These do not protect floors. It's hard plastic, and it's probably less damaging to the floor if they weren't on. If it was wood to wood, without any doubt, it's probably going to cause less damage to your floors. The hard plastic is there to protect the chair leg, but it damages the floor. The damage that happens to a chair leg, which is basically 1 inch diameter, chair leg as a result of not having that on, is significantly less than the damage that that chair leg will cause to a floor during any sort of period of time. So get rid of these. Get rid of these. Get them off because they're damaging the floor and causing expense to you that is unnecessary. We do an extra service, and we've done this for Hilton hotels, where what we'll do is we'll remove these for you. We basically line all your chairs up, put them on their arse, line them all up, take the plastic tops off, and we hot glue felt pads to the bottom of the chairs. We hot glue them on. They've already got an adhesive on, but if you stick them straight on with that adhesive, they won't stay. 10 days later, they'll be all over the floor. So you can't just stick them on. You've got to do something like a hot glue. Well, we use a hot glue, seems to work the best. So what we do is we take these off, we rub down the bottom of the leg, we degrease it, then we hot glue. Then we stick down the felt pads over the top of them, let them go off, turn them back around, and it's a floor saver. So we charge something like £3 a chair for that, and the same for tables, £3 a table. If you want us to do that, we can do that for you, or if you want, I've already explained exactly what it is we do, but if you want your staff to do that, then I can send you an info sheet across, just detailing you what exactly what it is they need to do that. Again, if you want us to provide the felt pads, I can do that, or you can go online and you could suggest somewhere online that you could get some from. If you do want us to do that, again, that isn't included in a floor sanding price. That's something over and above that we've added to our works over the years. So if you did want us to do that, you need to let us know, and then we can incorporate that within the time frame. Yeah, they're on all the chairs. It won't be it won't be anything dent wise. That they won't create any dents or anything, but people are rocking to and fro on those on a Friday night at 11 o'clock at night. It might definitely cause some of the scrapes that you've got. Okay, so there's your stairs again. There's the main entrance again. Just something. These chairs here, these booths here, are fixed in. So we will get underneath them as much as we can. We have several floor sanders, several different types of edges, several different types of detail sanders. We've got everything. But even the smallest machine can only get in certain areas. So whilst we might be able to get completely underneath there, if they can be removed, great. If they can't, then just be aware of the fact that we will get back underneath those as far as we can. But we may not be able to get in absolutely every single crevice, but we'll certainly do our best to. Okay. Wilmslow. This is the VIP area upstairs at Wilmslow, if my memory serves me right. Yeah, it is. So, come up the stairs just here, and you've got this area here. Again, you've got a pre-finished wood here. Same sort of procedure. Strip it back. Same sort of damage. Strip it right back. Put a 2-pack lacquer over the top. We will. Areas like this are not used as much as the main area downstairs at Winslow. So we don't want you to sort of spend unnecessarily. You need a commercial grade lacquer still on there, and you need enough coat that's going to be able to stand up to what's going to be needed. But we may add on a couple of extra coats for the downstairs area on top of that, just because of the extra use that it gets. And cleaning wise and maintenance wise, we'll advise you or discuss with you, and we can work out. It could well be that downstairs gets a maintenance once every 3 months, but this only gets a maintenance once every 6 months, because it's just not doesn't have that sort of degree of traffic, doesn't have that level of use. But we can determine that over the sites. We can work out which one's going to be which ones are going to be needed insofar as maintenance. Other L-shaped side to the VIP area. Again, I mean, it's not as bad as downstairs. It's not as bad as the main part, obviously, but still it needs something on it. Can't really see the detail of it, but there's still loads of heel marks on it. And it doesn't look, it doesn't look as good as it could. So, okay, those are the steps leading to and from. I don't know if that's a missing thread or if it's just white. But again, we would strip that right back. That's Debbie showing a bit of leg there, but we would strip them right back. And again, same sort of procedure. Threads replaced, or we will sand around them. Okay. This is downstairs at Winslow. So this is as you come through from the front main street. If you come in through the car park at the back, this is on the left hand side. So again, you've got the herringbone here. So the same sort of procedure applies with the buffing, the smoothing, and the removal of the scratches. We need to do that anywhere where there's herringbone. Not as bad again than the main area. It's just going black again. Before long, that'll be as black as the upstairs bit at Newcastle. So again, we want to strip that right back, show the wood off for what it is, give it that wow factor, and keep it that way. Again, all the chairs and tables here, if you wanted us to put the felt protectors on there, then we can do. Again, with the maintenance that I discussed, and I was saying that the filler is included in that maintenance, the chair maintenance is as well. So if we do come and give it a buffing coat, on that buffing coat we check the filling and we check for any sort of coat pads under the chairs. So it covers quite a few extras. So moving on, Macclesfield, that's looking at it from the other direction, facing the doors, again usual. Most of the wear is here. This is just outside the front doors. You've got the booths, again the same sort of thing applies. If they can be removed, great. If they can't, then we will get under them. It won't be me getting under them, but we will have some of our key lads underneath them getting them cleared as much as possible. Again, a lot of heel damage here, but we'd get rid of it. Okay, the booth area there. Okay, that's Winslow done. We're now over to Lincoln. Lincoln's an interesting one actually, because it's got wood down on Lincoln I haven't seen it before, and I've done thousands of floors, literally thousands of floors. But there's these block sections of timber, and it could be. I don't know if it's solid timber. I don't think it is because they're too wide. If you think about how wide they are, some of them are 2.5. So that would have to come off some substantial tree to be able to be one complete piece of wood. What I tend to think it is an engineered constructed wood, which is laminated. It's not laminate in the term that we know laminate wood is. It's not that. It is wood, but it's laminated wood, so it's thin pieces of wood that have been laminated together like a plywood or something. So we just have to do a bit of testing in this area. It's here and it's up here. So we just need to do a little bit of testing on that just to make sure that those in an area that isn't seen, we'd start off very light sanding and then we'd just build that up. And if it sort of can stand our sander, then we know how far we can go or how far we can't go. But that's a sort of new area for us, if you like. This strip here is a metal strip. It's a divider strip. You have wood here, then you have these laminated or I don't know, engineered sections here, and that strip connects that wood from that wood. It's gone further up here where you can't really see on the photographs. It's gone, so that needs replacing. But if you want us to replace that, we will. Same thing applies on the stairs where you've got the nosings there rather than. Remember, they seem to be in reasonable nick, so you should be fine leaving them in situ. They may just need a bit of a heavy duty strip clean. Okay, so all of this has been measured and separated and priced for. The dance floor is the worst part of it, obviously, and around here is the worst part of the dance floor area because people are going on these sort of stool type, table type things here, and no doubt resting the drinks on there, but no doubt getting knocked over as they're flinging their arms around on a Friday night. So underneath there is particularly move them. That'd be great. If you can move them, great. If you can't move them, then let's get rid of them. That's my wife Skyping me. So if we can remove them, that would be great, rather than having to try and sand round them. Yeah, definitely remove them, and then we can strip that back. We can get that wood looking amazing. You've lost all the grain, all the character. It could be anything on the floor. It could be anything. It's such a shame. And Lincoln is a particularly bad one as well. But we look at get them looking amazing. You're going to go into the room. They're going to go into the entrance area, and then look at that floor. You can't see it. It's black. Debbie again, trying to get in on the photograph. So it's black. You can't see it, but you can see these sections of wood here. There. So interesting. I'll be interested to see how they're going to show up. These are the steps going up towards the toilets. So again, we do the same scenario, same treatment on the steps. There's 22 odd steps there, including this one and this one here. And then on top of that, you've got the 4 square. That's not such a problem area. And then you've got another 4 square meters behind that wall there. Sort of another corridor within the toilet area, if you like. Again, usual sort of damage to steps. This area here, you can see the floor's black there. And when you're looking at this all day, every day, you look at it and you probably think, well, it's not that bad, it's okay, it's acceptable. But because I've done so many floors and I know potentially how it could look and what a dramatic impact it can make on the overall look of the room, it's such a shame, because you have the raw material already there. You don't have to replace the floor and spend 5-6 times. The material is already in situ, just needs to be cleaned, just needs to be looked after thereafter. And when you walk in, this is the entrance coming into Lincoln. When you walk in there, it should throw itself out and it should make the place look amazing. And that's inviting. That makes people want to come into the place. And it perhaps isn't as critical as a nighttime bar, but absolutely 100% during the day. It'll make a significant difference to the general overall feel of the place when you walk in there, so far as the customers go. Apart from that, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot more hygienic, there's no dirt. It sets the place off. So that is the entrance. That's the walkway going to the dance floor from the entrance at Lincoln. Again, that's herringbone floor. Something that was discussed here was the skirting boards. In actual fact, these skirting boards aren't too bad. Let's just go back. Can't really see them there either. Can't see them there. Can't really see them there. What it was, there were. It's not really that bad there either. These skirting boards here that go around, particularly around the dance floor area, are very black and they've got dirt. Don't sand skirting boards. We sand floors. That's really all we do. And to be honest with you, the time involved that it would take to sand a skirting board, it would be cheaper to take the skirting board off and pay to have another brand new one put back on. So it doesn't really make sense to sand them down because the time it involved doesn't justify it. If it was 200-year-old skirting boards that you couldn't buy now, then that would be a different matter, but they're not. So the only thing I can offer really there is a bit of a freshen up. So we can sort of buff them and coat them. You're not going to get all the dirt off, you get all the gouges off, you might get most of the surface scratches off, but we could certainly improve them. We could certainly liaise with cleaners for that, or procedures, or we can give you, or we can sort of do it, but again, don't expect miracles on that side because there is only so much time-wise. There was only so much we could really put into them, but it's more of a freshen up than a sand. Again, we're happy to do it, but if you want, we can sort of discuss that with Debbie and she can sort of do it for you. Okay, so getting back to where we were. That's downstairs. So that's Lincoln done. That then takes us back to Hanley, so that's pretty much all the photographs. And that really. So, just to summarise then, what we would do is the job involves 3 sections. There's the initial sand strip and re-lacquer of the floors with repairs. There's deep cleaning, which is the ongoing deep cleaning regime that you would need to put in place, which is a more souped up version, a stronger version, a deeper version of your daily cleaning, if you like. And then there's a maintenance. The same as what we put down on the original sand and varnish, and that lacquer needs to be will build up. Some things that I've mentioned to Debbie are, the floors are going to look amazing when we've done them, if we do them. So they're going to look amazing, and 3 months down the line, the chances are they're still going to look amazing. And one of the problems that most people do is they look at it and say, well, we're going to have They just don't need it and they don't do the maintenance, and that's where it fails. You have to, even when it doesn't look like it needs it, you, we're going to do a maintenance buff and coat every 6 months, and we came down to do it, and or you look at it and say it just looked as good as it did on the day. You have to keep that in place. You have to still go ahead with it. One, because you see it on a regular basis, you don't see the deterioration that is there. But two, you need something to actually build the floor up better than it was. You know, I'm still doing floors that I did 15 years ago, and they look amazing. They look amazing floors. Um, but with a regime like that in place, with a full sand and recoat, you'll be nothing less than delighted with the end result when we first do the job. But 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, 2 years down the line, you want to be looking at them floors and really, at the very, very worst, just be saying, well, okay, it needs a, we're going to put a bottom coat over it. If you don't put it in place at the beginning, chances are you won't do it. It's just human nature. It just doesn't happen. So I would deal with this problem. Get it done, get it booked in, and we'll take care of it. And it's a problem quite often. We don't mind doing that within reason. Um, you know, um, if we go there and there's a corner that looks particularly bad and we need to give it a little bit of extra attention as part of our maintenance, okay, it may not be strictly what we are there to do, but if we need to do it, we don't mind doing it. If we go there and bleach has been thrown all over it and it's a mess, it's a completely different matter. You're talking about restripping, re-varnishing and all sorts. So, all I would say is this. Get your floor stripped. Get a suitable 2-pack commercial lacquer down that we'll advise you on, we can recommend for you. Let her do the day-to-day cleaning of the place to get rid of any sort of surface residue. Put a deep cleaning in place with us to give it a little bit more, to get down a little bit deeper for any sort of ingrained residue within, which embeds itself in the lacquer over time. And then put something in place for a buff and a coat. And that's it. Um, there was one discussion I was having when the manager where you were thinking about that's great. If you want to do that, you can do that. But you're going to have the same problem in 6 months. They're going to look the same. Unless you do something about the root cause problem, the same will happen with the new wood as what's happened with the old wood. The fact of the matter is you're going to go to extreme amount of expense to do that, and you don't have to. You have wood there, and it can look as good as any new wood that you put down. Effectively, when you sand floors, you're taking it back to the virgin wood. You're taking it back to the original wood, so you have it there. You're replacing something that you've already got. Seems the maintenance is what you have to do. So I'm going to cut this now. Been through quite a few photographs. If you want to discuss it, if you want me to come down, if you want us to do some sample areas, I mean, you've seen it all before, so no doubt about that. So that's probably not necessary. But what we would like to do is we'd like to sort of take over a certain amount of the Revolution bars and just look after them. Eventually, look after them all. We're big enough to do it. We've got give us a handful of revolutions initially to take care of. That would be good. I mean, we can be price-wise, we can be more cost-effective the more work you give us. That stands to reason. The more bars we have, the more sort of guaranteed level of work that we have, the more competitive. We are extremely competitive anyway. There is no doubt about that, and I will stand up in front of any other floor sander in the country and I can outline and explain that in any level of detail that you need. So that happens regardless, and that's why we're always busy, and that's why we get. If you have problems, you can ring our office. If you have an accident, breakage in the floor, you can ring our office. We work till 7 or 8 o'clock most nights, and like I say, the backup service is there and the advice is there, as well as the products. If you want to buy products from us, even cleaning products and so on, we sell it all. I've got an e-commerce section to my site where we sell all the products. So, like I say, that pretty much outlines everything. I hope I've answered most of the questions that you have in relation to the work on the bars. Side of things, if we could have a selection of the bars, the more bars the better, the more competitive we can be. I think we've based the prices that you've been sent already have been based upon sort of 4 or 5 bars or so. But what we would ideally like to do is have, you know, a set day or a set couple of days every 3 months or so, where we go and do a deep clean, and the same sort of thing again, have 3 or 4 days booked every 6 months where we can go over a few bars and do a buff and coat, and you know, have that as a system. Can do on the first set, and we'd be more than happy to do that. If you've got any other questions, you can email Lucy at floorsanduk.com. That's my wife. She's also a partner or director in the company. She knows as much about the business as I do. She's very good. She's very efficient. She runs us all and tells us all what to do and where to go. If you've got any questions, you can by all means contact her. My email address is joseph@floorsanduk.com. I take care of the flooring side of things more. Lucy takes care of the administration. Email either one of us, depending on what the query is, and we'll get straight back to you. Yeah, I'll leave it with that, and yeah, thanks for listening.